really good, man. Hey, welcome again to our weekly Main Stage Music live stream. I'm Brad, and of course, always at my side is Jamie here.
Now spelled properly on the screen.
Exactly. We made sure to up that kind of stuff so that you don't have problems about misspellings. Anyways, you probably got to hear how beautiful this guitar sound was that Jamie was playing. And might thought, man, that's a pretty beautiful Fender Telecaster that he's got there. And you might even think that this is a Fender Stratocaster.
They probably thought this was a vintage Tele from your collection valued at tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly. But you would be right about one thing. This guitar is a vintage guitar. But it is the brand vintage. So today we are talking about the brand Vintage Guitars, okay? Now Vintage, right here, you can see, is the actual name brand. And it's a line that we had picked up at Main Stage Music several years ago. And I'll tell you what, we are very pleased with these instruments and how they've evolved over the years that we have been dealers for them. Basically what Vintage is, in a nutshell, is it is a product of a company out of Great Britain. And the company is called JHS. And for people who are pedal guys, they might be like, oh, I've heard of JHS.
I know those guys.
Yeah. But JHS in Britain stands for John Hornsby Skews, which couldn't be more British.
John Hornsby Skews?
John Hornsby Skews.
Yeah. From Brigington.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a great name. But I mean, so over there, JHS is a distributor for John. It stands for John Hornsby Skews. And they have developed all sorts of brands. Now, in the United States, there are similar companies like that. So one, probably the biggest one, is called St. Louis Music.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
And St. Louis Music is responsible for brands like Ampeg and Crate. And and even if you go back, let's say 40 years ago, they were responsible for brands like Electra.
Yeah, what was that high-end PA brand, like Custom Audio or Custom?
I mean, there was a lot of really cool things that...
high-end cabinets.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of really cool things that St. Louis Music brought to market through the last 40-plus years. And they're still around. St. Louis Music is responsible for Alvarez. And so, again, I'm not. This isn't an ad for St. Louis Music, but I'm just saying that you have these companies that will often build other brands that then, of course, the guitar and, of course, music market, generally speaking, will benefit from. So in Britain, they have a brand a distributor called John Hornsby Skews, and they came out with this model called the Vintage. Now, what Vintage is all about is they're obviously guitars that are inspired by classic vintage designs that you all are familiar with.
Definitely licensed shapes.
Oh, yeah. Well, and actually, kind of an interesting thing. After so many years, certain shapes go into, I guess, what they call fair use. And what really is, let's say, let's call it where someone could get sued, isn't the body shape as much as it is the shape of the headstock. And so I know that we have some viewers and friends that are custom guitar builders, and they will know exactly what you're talking about. If you make a headstock that is a dead accurate, let's just say inspired by something that we all know. So like with Gibson, their famous headstock is called the Open Book. Okay. And Ibanez has a very distinct headstock that has a little kind of jag on the end of it.
Yes, the pear slicer.
And then, of course, Fender, their headstock shapes are... I've heard that it was a guy named Freddie Tavares back in the 50s that gave the Stratocaster its headstock shape. He said that it was based on French curves.
Oh, yeah.
And I've also heard a friend of mine who said that he felt it was a little phallic in nature, which, again, however you interpret the headstock shape of a Fender, it is a very distinctive shape.
Well, French curves are definitions, and phalluses can be represented by French curves. So
I'm sure the French have those as well.
you can't be one without a series of compound geometry, right?
Exactly. See, it's math.
It's compound geometry.
It's compound geometry, not other stuff.
It's really not compound.
Yeah. Now, that being said, so these guitars are inspired after vintage or classic styles. And I'll tell you what, I am very impressed, generally speaking, because, I mean, there's a lot of guitar brands out there that you all are familiar with that make, we'll just say, let's call it what it is, Strat style body shapes, Tele style body shapes, Les Paul style body shapes, so on and so forth, that cost a lot of money. You know, you have brands like De Temple and Sir.
Was it Marco? What's those?
LSL, that's one.
Danocaster.
Yep. Trussart. Okay. Nash.
Yeah.
K-Line. Yeah, K-Line. Yep, that's another one.
E.B. Rooster in Nashville makes tea-inspired instruments.
We could probably fill an entire episode just with coming up with all of the companies that are inspired by models.
Well, even Gibson had an offset double cut, the foray a time or two in the 80s, right?
They did.
Yeah.
And you know, the point is that I know that some people look at a guitar like it's some unique design, but often, and they are, okay? I mean, we know that this is a Strat, but, you know, if you didn't look at the headstock, you might say, maybe that's a Silver Sky Paul Reed Smith.
No, you wouldn't say that.
Yeah, they don't look anything like a Strat.
If it's not Matt Gray and 3 and 3, right?
But, you know, that being said, it's like there are a lot of...
These look a lot like Grosh, Dan Grosh headstocks.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. See that. But there's no debating that the body style is definitely inspired by the classic 50s designs of Leo Fender, okay?
Or Tuttle has one that looks like this. There's a billion people
There's
making
so
tellies,
many
man.
of them. But you know, that being said, it is a very functional design.
I'm just going to go ahead and jump off into this. I said that I was telling somebody this today. I forgot what it was. You know, in this case, you look at this. You got mild flame. You got nice finish changes. You know, obviously the other company makes, you know, the Squire vintage modified, and they've got some early relic stuff for the road warns.
And for those of you who don't know what road worn or relic means, these are colloquial terms that have been coined, actually almost trademarked by these companies to mean pre-aged or distressed. So in other words, guitar players, kind of like people with blue jeans. You see these girls walking around with the jeans that are all ripped up or torn up. They didn't really wear them they didn't really work so hard with their dads out in the yard that their jeans just started fraying. They actually went to the store and bought someone else's distressing.
Awful sharp rocks out there in the yard.
There's a lot. They work so hard, these teenagers these days.
Well, where I was headed with that, it'll be a brief one. You know, we're talking about there's a million builders out there, and there's clearly the demand. Just, I mean, I guess I can't build them fast enough. I'm on the Danocaster Instagram, and I've never seen a post that didn't start with sold. So I don't know how often you have to be checking that to do that. But those are $4,000 or $5,000 Telecasters, right? So Chicago Music had a custom shop Tele came up the other day. I always like to guess what I think the new custom shop line is going to cost. Oh, is that one $3,800 or $4,750? No, $7,800 for a flat slab of wood and a big pretty piece of maple screwed to that sucker. $7,800 for Fender Custom Shop. And I was like, at least our boy Lucky Dog, you know, like he mills some parts, does his own knobs. He put
each one's a work of art.
Yeah, it's all unique. It's got a theme. It's got a something. It's got a style. And I mean, not that those are. I mean, there's no dig. They're not affordable by most standards. Still,
no, I think Anthony starts them at $2,900.
Yeah, so that's definitely cheaper than most of the competition,
Absolutely.
And he does more to them to stylize them. But it's still
And by the way,
I'll
Lucky
let
Dog.
Brad reveal what this guitar costs. in
Yeah,
a little while.
so just a shout out to our friends, Lucky Dog, Anthony Sims out in Cleveland, Tennessee. So one of our neighbors, and we will get him out here one of these days. But Anthony is a true American success story, in that he is my age, and we've been friends since we've been teenagers, and we're pickers, and we are the kind of guys that like to make sawdust and know what players like. Okay, and he started customizing slab style guitars, primarily Telecasters, and really putting his spin and his art and knowing what other guitar nerds like ourselves liked, and built this into a company that now is 5 years out. If you want a Lucky Dog, unless you catch one of his rare public sales, you're 5 years until you can get one. So they're all handmade, and I'm telling you, the detail that he puts in them is insane. And it's incredible, but it's a slab style guitar that's most of his popular ones are the distressed fashion style. And guy does a phenomenal job, but they're all handmade and very well done. So what Jamie's saying is that there's a lot of people making this style of guitar, but you know why? It's because they're functional and they work for just about any musical style, whether you're a plank spanker, a country player, or if you're a hard rockin' whatever, or even my friend Bob Bakert had said that he publishes a jazz guitar magazine. He said that when it comes to jazz, he did a survey out there. It said that the most played guitar for jazz music was a Telecaster.
Yeah.
Which I would have thought a hollow body archtop or something like that, but he said no, a Telecaster. So that being said, they're very functional guitars. So anyways, getting back, I know that you guys have questions and so on and so forth, but these guitars came from a company in Britain, okay? They are made of North American materials, but they are made primarily in Asia, okay? But I have to say, okay, that, and again, I'm a player, okay? These guitars are very well done. Mm-hmm. They have the feel, they have the tone, that kind of natural, resonant quality. Just of what you got. But again, if you use good materials, you're going to get a good product. Right. Usually. Now, just to really add, complexity to this whole thing, is you've got an additional thing in that this is a collaboration with a very famous parts manufacturer named Trev Wilkinson. And so really, these are a really upgraded piece. Actually, I got a special guest here. Hang on one second. We're going to zoom in a friend. All right. And
just a few more clicks and we'll be there.
All right. And do you have audio for our friend there, son? But yeah, long story short, so they use very good materials. The setup, the fit and finish is very well done on these, as a lot of modern guitars are. And of course, that being said, they have a collaboration with a very famous parts manufacturer named Trev Wilkinson. Now, Trev Wilkinson is also, again, British, okay? And he's got kind of a neat, background as well. So with him, he has, of course, for anyone who has been a guitar fan of the last 40 years, you have recognized Wilkinson parts and hardware and so on. And so these vintage guitars are really well outfitted with that. But actually, before I get into that, hang on a second. Rick, can you hear us all right? Yep, you can. Okay, so let me just...
Can you hear me?
Yes,
I can
hear you now. All right, excellent. So we've got a special guest from Vintage Guitars. We've got our friend Rick Taylor, who is zooming in. And so, Rick, what we were doing is we were just going over with our audience what Vintage is all about. Okay, so obviously we have already told them that Vintage, most of their styles are inspired by classic styles, hence the term vintage. We told them about the quality of the materials. Obviously, like most of these here are made from, North American materials like ash and maple and alders and stuff like that. But then a lot of the production work is done in Asia. And we were just getting into the hardware aspect of things, mentioning the Wilkinson aspect. So was there anything special that you wanted to add? And first of all, thank you so much for coming today.
I'm honored to be here. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me, guys. I appreciate it. Actually, very neat under the hood features that a lot of people don't see from the surface. They look at it and they think, oh, it's an S-type guitar and it's $499 retail.
We haven't even gotten that far yet.
No,
yeah.
you just busted the big reveal,
man. We were gonna.
Blew the whole thing. Yeah.
Well, we were.
No, it's
people
not
warmed up at
$1,000, and
yeah.
yes, it sounds as good as guitars that do. There's some interesting features. I'll just blow through them real quick, and then
please.
If anybody wants to discuss some feature, there is a patented staggered block on that guitar. There is a press fit bar that allows you a lot of options. There are locking tuners. There are, each pickup is a unique part number specified for the output of the position, which a lot of guitars in that price range won't do. It has a one-piece maple neck with no fingerboard, just like the original with the skunk stripe, and a single expanding truss rod, exactly like would have been made on the original. There's some really neat features I could go into depth with, but not the least of which is the really cool nut. Which I'll show you here. New bone. I've got a few guitars to show you. Very slick. The tuners are staggered, so you'll see that the E and the A, the posts are taller than the other four. And there are two.
Hang on a second. Which one? Oh, you're talking about the one in the middle here. Oh, here, let me grab that. See, the one I'm holding.
The one you're holding.
Well, this one here is a Icon in black with a really aggressive distressing job on it.
Correct.
Five springs out. So I'm not seeing the when you say tuner Oh, are you talking about? Oh, okay. I see what he's saying here. So these are staggered. Okay, just so you guys can see. Mm-hmm. So the bass side is higher than the treble side, which is going to give natural down pull without the use of undulate string trees. So.
Yeah, and eliminates one of the posts. The second post on a lot of guitars in this style are for the strings that are wound that tend to hang on string posts, so it causes tuning issues. By having the taller, regular size posts on the E and the A, and on the rest of the string shorter ones, you've eliminated a string post. So the only string post is on a unwound string, which easily glides under the post. And they're also locking. You'll see this on several manufacturers. There are two perpendicular posts, holes through the posts. And online, it could show you how to wind that as a locking tuner.
Huh. See, now I'm looking here.
There's one
and,
on one side and one on the other.
Interesting, because I'm looking here and I don't see where, but I guess let me just man.
Yeah, look at the posts. There's one hole and then below it another hole.
Yes.
180 degrees from the other. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So how does that locking mechanism work? I've never seen that before.
It's a special way that you find them. Yeah, and I can send you a PDF file, or you could share with your visitors. So it's a locking tuner with nothing to lose, nothing to add, no extra expense. Another little special Wilkinson
that is
delivery.
So cool. So I mean, and again, I know that it's difficult for you guys to see this, and let me just also say it's very difficult for me to admit that I didn't know everything. See? I mean, you guys come to me because I'm a know-it-all, and yet I'm sitting here like, Willikers. This thing is cool.
Everybody comment in the comment section if anyone actually thought Brad knew it all.
Well, I got to say, that's really, really cool. So these are locking keys, but let me just show you guys what I'm looking at. This is just a traditional...
Looks vintage from here.
It just looks like a traditional 6-in-line 1960s or 50s style and 60s style, Kluson style key. But what he's talking about has to do with both of the height of these here. You notice there's no ugly string trees. I mean, it's beautiful. I love a nice clean headstock like that. But I know you can't see it. You'll have to come to Main Stage Music and check it out. But it's a special tuning, locking mechanism. These are locking keys. That is freaking brilliant. I love it. I'm sorry, Rick, you are a valuable resource. Go on and I'm going to stop yammering. Keep going. So. Uh-oh. Do you lock up on me?
We got some free.
Let me go into,
there he is.
If you can hear me, you want to discuss the other really cool thing that helps tuning stability. The Newbone Graphtec nut, very slick, also helps tuning, and it wears really well. And for guys who are luthiers that like to file on nuts like I do, it's super even. You never hit like a spot like a real bone nut where it's automatically soft and you go wonk and all of a sudden it's too low. It's really easy to work on. But if you look at the back of the bridge block, you'll see that the holes in the block are not in line.
Yeah, they're staggered. Yeah, that's interesting.
And what Brett Wilkinson found out is that the worst offender of tuning stability in that style of guitar is the G string. And if anybody's played Strats for a gazillion years, you know that when you dump the bar all the way and you get a little too aggressive, that G likes to go sharp. There's a very good reason for that. So when you have saddles that do this and aren't all in a line, but you have the block that's all in the line. Originally, the Fender had a wound third string. So the intonation wasn't as big a deal. Now, fast forward to modern times, you have a plain string. So which is the string that has you have to push that saddle furthest forward is on the G, correct?
Yeah.
To get the intonation right. Or I'm sorry, forward, I mean back.
Yeah.
Forward from the other side.
Yeah.
So basically that thickest core string, that G string goes over the saddle and moving the block holes so that they follow the intonation line. You've moved that G.
Oh, I tell you what, people are so
Similar
clever.
angle. They don't go sharp anymore. So you've got a bar that you can hammer and it will not go out of tune.
Well, all mine are still straight.
Pretty
this
nifty.
has got five springs on it, man. This is like a Billy Gibbons setup right here.
That's on purpose because that guitar is a tribute to, can I say it without getting in trouble?
Oh, it's our
Eric
show.
Clapton.
Oh, absolutely, man. I dig it.
If you remember the famous Eric Clapton guitar, Blackie,
Yeah, Blackie.
This is a tribute to him. He
always
always locked off the tremolo bar. He never used the whammy bar. So it comes with 5 strings. The bar and the block is hard to the floor. You can always remove 2 and it's a normal bar, but we ship it that way to be true.
Man, you guys sent us a nice light one too. This one's got really resonant and this looks like
another
alder.
nifty thing you'll notice on the fingerboard, there's no fingerboard glued onto that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
a true one-piece maple.
Yes. Okay. So what he's talking about, folks, just so you, again, is oftentimes the fretboard will be glued onto an existing maple neck. It makes it easier for production and whatever. But that's not how original Fenders made in the 1950s were done. With the 1950s model, they would just route out a channel in the back, slide the truss rod in, and then use this, they called it a skunk stripe affectionately, which is just a piece of walnut or whatever that was tapped in there. But of course, modern manufacturing goes, we can do this cheaper with just scraps, gluing them together. But what he's saying is that this is one piece of maple from heel to, the tip of the headstock. And so they've done it exactly the way Fender's Custom Shop would be making one of their $20,000 Blackie Strats. So, yeah, I just noticed
With
that.
the
That's
skunk
insane.
stripe on the back, you can show them the skunk
Oh yeah,
stripe.
please, yeah. No, I mean this is this is really awesome. This is really a well done guitar, and I know he kind of let the cat out of the bag. Okay, but you're right. Most people are selling these for $4.99. So it's pretty insane. Now, additionally, I saw a little piece of extra data on the pickups here. So the pickups are additionally made by Wilkinson, okay, as is the bridge, the tuning machine, so on. But these say M series on them. Can you help me out with what M series means?
Yes, there are two different versions of those, and they're interchangeable. They absolutely have no difference. There are a version, when available, that are made in one factory, and the M series are made in another, and that's how they're differentiated. But there's no difference in parts. Trev Wilkinson is quick to dispel the myth of pickups that some people charge insane amounts of money. He will tell you that to do a proper Alnico 5 pickup with the original wire, the bobbins, everything that you need to make a proper traditional pickup costs $5 to $10. So it doesn't take it doesn't make any difference whether somebody makes it in the USA or Russia or China or South Korea or wherever. When the proper parts are done, you get that sound. And what this brand is particularly interested in is the sound of the 50s and 60s. There's EMGs, there's rail pickups and humbuckers, and lots of great pickups that can be made to fit this guitar. What Trev is really after is the initial unique sound of those guitars as they were. And not just that, but another thing about these guitars that you won't find in any other guitar in that price range, each pickup is a unique part number. So as a string rotates, the more a string does this and less of this, it creates more voltage, so it has a higher output. So you want the neck pickup to be a little bit weaker than the middle pickup, and the bridge pickup should be the strongest. So as you row through the positions on that guitar, you'll notice that the volume is consistent. So when you go to the neck pickup, you don't have to back it all the way down because the neck pickup's so much louder than the bridge, and the bridge pickup has to be raised up to touching the strings to make it balanced like you do on some lesser guitars.
Sure.
Those are as they should be. Each pickup is in the position with the output it's meant to be in. There's a neck position skew, and there's a middle, and there's a bridge position, and they're perfect for what they're supposed to be to do that.
So these are matched pickups. This is not just some thrown together.
Absolutely, they are matched.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Well,
and right down, and there's also some neat things in the bridge too. His other like super geeky stuff that I never really understood till I got to spend a lot of time with Trev, but you'll notice the curvature of the bridge saddle itself. It's a little loop and then it goes straight and the screw comes in. The way that bridge saddle was originally designed is that screw that comes to the top that adjusts the height actually hugs that loop all the way down. That keeps the bridge saddles and that little grub screw from moving around. You'll find cheaper guitars that might be in a V shape where the screw is kind of left to its own, and a lot of techs will put a little fingernail polish to keep it from spinning around.
Yeah, look at that.
These are exactly like they were designed to do, so the screw won't move in the height position.
Yeah, that is very tight. And again, this,
super geeky stuff.
Oh yeah, but you know what? Our fans, our guitar guys, I mean, it's the details of everything that make something special. So, I mean, absolutely. Marilyn wouldn't be the same without the beauty mark, you know? And so, no, these little details are what people are. And by the way, I just want to let you guys know you are welcome to ask Rick any question that you might have about vintage. You know, obviously you've been tuning in for months now, and you know that we love reading your comments on the air. We do have a lot of people watching, which is great. And it looks like this guitar that I'm holding is not going to be around because it looks like Brian, our friend Brian, said that black Strat is mine. So it's gone. But But
Yeah.
long story short, if you have any kind of question, for Rick, feel free to ask him. In the same right, he's going to be going on. Now, I brought another one here. This is more of a modern style. Here, let's just swap.
Yeah, it's crazy Brian said that because I was going to see if I could tote this one to the house later on. But
Well, Brian tends to have a lot of black strats that every black strat that comes into the shop, I think he's taking his turn at. But now one guitar, this is a guitar that actually Rick helped me with earlier this week.
Phil's favorite.
Oh, it's a killer guitar, man. So
I just love that myself. But
now, kind of just for our guys at home watching, and girls, humans at home watching. So the easy way to kind of tell what vintage style you have is the ones that do not have a distressed finish. Okay, in other words, that are shiny, brand new, whatever. They use the term reissued. Okay. But the ones that have the distressed, kind of worn-in finish, they use the word icon. And so this is one of the reissued models. And one thing I noticed about it is, Fender announced last year that they would no longer be using ash because there are shortages of it, or they couldn't find the stuff that they wanted, or some people expressed concern that there wasn't practices in forestry that were being done to their standards. However, you want to spin it, Fender has never used ash heavily in their models, and they announced last year that they wouldn't be using it at all because of sourcing issues. This guitar is solid ash. And let me tell you something. It is, when I say solid, I mean, I was looking at this, and I'm looking for the seam line. I thought this was a one-piece body. I mean, it's actually a two-piece body, but the second piece is only this little piece here. You check by the cross section here, and this guitar is a solid piece of, again, North American ash. And man, does it look beautiful. And it also has those M series pickups we were just discussing. But now this tremolo here, I had actually called Rick. I said, hey man, there must be a problem here because I can't get the tremolo arm in, okay? Because this is a press fit tremolo arm, okay? So it doesn't thread in, it just presses in. But it wasn't fitting. Well, Rick showed me a really cool thing that, again, another brilliant design thing. So it does have a trem arm that is a press fit. However, some people like their trem arm to be kind of loose so that they can bring it up. Mm-hmm. Some people, like myself, like it to kind of, they know where it is. So the way they do that is they have brilliantly installed.
Prima donnas.
I know. Us guitar players, man, I'm telling you.
Reach for the trim arm wherever it's at, man. You can't.
So what they've done here is, and I know it's kind of difficult for me to maneuver this microphone and so on, but underneath the bridge, so all you have to do is press the trem arm down, and underneath the back, there's a little grub screw that allows you to tighten the tension against that trem arm. So just a simple adjustment allows your trem arm to just flow loose or to be tight where you can hold it. I have never experienced that. I mean, outside of like a Floyd Rose where you have a threaded collar that kind of does that. Is that a relatively new function that you guys have added, or?
Not that I'm aware of. I've been associated with Vintage as a U.S. distributor for 5 years, and they've always had it. I haven't asked Trev when he invented that, or even if he did. So I'm sorry.
Well, it's cool. Well, no, I mean, it's the first time I've run into that, and I have to tell you, it is definitely a cool feature. Now, this guitar also, again, not having the relic finish with the black pick guard and so on. And maple neck, it is incredibly just, I don't know, everything about it is just clean and smooth. Does this one also have? Yeah, go for it.
While you've got that, I want to show you my main gigging bass. I've got two, but it's along those lines. You're going to laugh. Check this out.
Yeah, let's see it. Oh, yeah. No, that's smoking. Now, I'll tell you, they call this finish butterscotch. I don't know that I would call that butterscotch. I mean, it feels more like a limed natural. but it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
I love this thing, and I have a lot of really nice basses over the last 40 years. This thing is a beast live. Love it.
Oh yeah, man. These are incredible guitars here. Now you had brought. It looks like you got a few pieces there in your studio.
Yeah.
Now we were talking earlier. One thing I noticed is that you've got two members of the Helicasters in your stable of endorsers or endorsees or whatever.
Here's one of them.
Yeah. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a sweet guitar. So the Helicasters, for all of the uninitiated here, were one of the. It still are just one of the coolest Americana country-inspired, hot rockin' pickin' bands of the 1990s. It was Will Ray, John Jorgensen, and then
Jerry Donahue.
Yeah, Donahue. Jerry Donahue? Yeah, Jerry Donahue. But I'll tell you what, I remember when those guitars came out, they actually released a trio of guitars by Fender. I want to say it was 97. And they weren't very well received. I mean, they only made them like a year. And Will Ray ended up going to G&L. And
Jorgensen did too, right?
Yeah, Jorgensen played them, but he did have a signature G&L
Like
A set. It was a
silver.
Yeah, a silver sparkle. And Jerry Donahue had a signature Fender as well, as it was a Japanese-made double-bound custom. Well, now we just guys have to work on getting Will Ray over, because I know you've got a John Jorgensen model, Fret King, which is also part of your and then the Jerry Donahue model. So could you tell us a little bit about the Jerry?
Yeah, I've had several conversations with Jerry. He's a great guy. This has a very unique wiring system. It was originally invented by Bill Bartolini back in the day. And what it does is it gives Jerry his favorite sounds all in one guitar. So in the bridge position, by the way, they worked over a year on these pickups. These are unique to this guitar. These are going to be very much like exactly the ones that he put in his 58. It has the same one-piece maple neck that we already discussed. It's, I would call it a soft V, so it's a little chunkier than any other guitars in the line. The one you're holding is going to be very much a modern C-neck profile. This is going to be a bit chunkier. The way the pickup system works is when you're here in the bridge position, it's just the bridge pickup. And I'll go to the weird ones next. In the middle, it's going to be your same T-style, as we call it, position. And then the neck pickup, which is a Strat style pickup and not a T-style pickup. That's what he liked. Now, what's interesting is when you go to this second position, which in a S-style guitar would be the quack tone, where you would have a middle pickup and the bridge together. You've all heard that tone.
Yeah, the quack.
It's think Leonard Skinner, Sweet Home Alabama intro. That's the sound. The way they got this is by putting this pickup 40% out of phase with this one. You can nail that tone without this pickup being here. Huh. It's the oddest thing when you hear it.
Crazy.
People will play it and go, well, where's the third pickup? Man, it ain't there.
So
and the other thing,
it's
Jerry,
not 180. It's a partial. It's a partial amount out of phase.
Correct. And the odd thing about it is it gives you that tone and that flavor without losing the low end that you do normally with a pickup when it's out of phase. So what Jerry liked about it is it retained all that bottom end when he was doing that chicken picking, crazy bending behind the nut stuff that he does that's just crazy cool. So you get that quack tone there. His other favorite sound was a Gibson 335. So in this position, there's a cap that's put in the neck pickup. Think of what Gibson used to do with the Veritone. So you put a cap on it, it raises the mid-range and cuts a lot of your highs because it's a completely passive system. There's no real boost involved here. It's just all monkeying around with frequencies. So this pickup now sounds somewhat like a 335 in the neck position. It gives you that soft, warm, neck position humbucker tone.
Wow.
Not 100% there, so don't expect the unexpected. It's still a single coil pickup, but for him, it gave him 2 of his other favorite tones for free outside of the 3 normal T-style tones.
So it's a
Very,
5-way.
very cool.
It's a 5-way switch,
Correct.
and
Yes.
2 of the positions are. I don't want to use the word artificially because it's obviously, but using some pretty interesting capacitors and so on, you've
Correct.
created
Yes.
tones that couldn't possibly happen in the wild.
How do you partially
Right, and it
flip
was
something
created
out of
by him.
phase? How
Yes,
how do you
and it works.
analog do that?
I don't know. Ask
Trade
Bill
secret.
Bartolini.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, somebody a lot smarter than me, obviously.
I mean, because when Strat pickups, if you buy them aftermarket and they're out of phase, you got to like flip the polarity of the magnets to get them back with your other set.
Right.
So you're like, I guess you're orienting the magnet not in 180 degrees.
I guess, yeah.
Man, inquiring minds want to know.
Well, I'll also tell you guys that again, these guitars they're not ridiculously expensive, and you just feel there's little things that nerds that are my age that have played a bajillion guitars do. I sit there and I work these knobs, and they've got fade.
What do you mean? What's fade?
They've got that resistance. It doesn't feel like that sloppy
Right.
on or off kind of.
Yeah, those use the full-size alpha pots, which we found even in our US Pro Shop. We used to replace them for artist guitars with brand name pots. And finally, we just we can't tell the difference. Those have a really nice resistance. We've never had them fail. They're full size. They don't move around. The switches are proper switch. Even on our set neck style guitars, it's a proper lever switch and not a box switch. So the switches are and the pots are very stout in those guitars right out of the box.
Does Vintage have a J style?
Yeah. You guys don't make a Jazzmaster, do you?
Yes, we do.
What?
It's a V65, and I was so dumb I didn't bring one. Yes, we do.
Well, now I feel
Why-
embarrassed
why don't
because I know. Go ahead and smack me.
No, I'm just saying, why don't you have, like, I thought you're a Jazzmaster guy,
Because
right?
I'm dumb and you're smart and.
We sneaked up on you. No,
Carry
that
on
was
that
that was
goofy mess.
Well, hey,
man.
now, in all fairness, this pile of vintage just fell in my lap a little while ago because of all these shortages. You guys have been out of this stuff for longer than you've not. Let's just say it that way. So,
been rough.
yeah, it's really been rough, and but we've been getting some stuff in. So I will call and see if I can't, what do you want to say? Beat the bushes and see what comes out.
What about a Jaguar? You make a Jaguar?
You make a Jaguar, or is it just a Jazzmaster? I shouldn't say
It's
just a Jazzmaster.
more like a Jaguar, but it's got P90s in it, which is Trev's favorite pickup. And there are 2 models with the hardtail and 2 models with the traditional Jazzmaster style whammy bar system.
Gotcha.
Does it have the rhythm circuit or the strangle or any of those?
No, didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
No.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, and of course, Brian says, tell Jamie to stop enjoying my Strat so much. So he is getting awful comfy over there, isn't he?
Let me put that fella down.
Anyways, there was another question you said about lacquer. Okay, so our friend JC Walker. Is this on YouTube or is this on Facebook? Oh, Facebook. Okay, I guess I didn't see that one pop up. So, Rick, this is a good question. JC Walker is arguably one of the Chattanooga area's best guitar players. I'm not just, saying that. And he is definitely a Strat guy. And pretty much, you name it, he's had one. So he's asking about what kind of lacquer you guys are using on the vintage guitars. Now, I think I know the answer already, but I'm pretty sure that it's polyurethane on these, correct?
Yes, it is a polyurethane finish. Lacquer would triple the price just for that alone.
Yeah.
Lacquer is very labor intensive and very expensive to do. Not the lacquer itself, but how it's applied, because it needs to be buffed and sanded between every coat. It's not feasible in this price range. What I will say, though, which is kind of cool, is the distressed guitars has a much thinner undercoat, so that when they do the relicing process, you can see the wood through it. So there is a much thinner finish on the Icon series than there would be on the reissued series.
Okay, now I got another. This is not officially a question, but I just noticed that our friend Greg Roberts, who is arguably the best left-handed guitar player in the Chattanooga area. I don't even have to, there's Jimmy Smith and there's Greg Roberts, and both of those guys I think could pretty much, be the best two left-handed guitar players in Chattanooga. So Greg is watching. I just got a thing, and he's watching, and I can feel the energy from my phone coming to ask this question. Do you guys offer left-handed models in all of these, or just in specific models?
Just specific models, but it is pretty wide ranging, and I currently import about 12 models of lefties, and there are a few more I can get within a 90-day window.
Well, Greg is a Strataholic, so which Strat models do you guys do? Do you do this black one in lefty?
That one's no, because that's more of like a tribute model.
Okay.
I do have in V6 models, I have Sunburst with maple fingerboard. I have Sunburst with rosewood fingerboard. Seafoam, not yet. The Seafoam I have barely gotten yet because of all of our shipping delays. The Seafoam green V6 that we should have gotten a year ago is still not in stock. So as you alluded to a minute ago, we're still getting stuff in stock that we debuted at NAMM in January a year and 3 months ago. So we will have those in stock soon, but I don't see a lefty yet on that.
Well, I know that we've had some people, too, that are wanting to know what these guys sound like. So you guys may not know this, but both Jamie and myself know how to play guitar. Okay. Now, so what Jamie is, you're closer to the amplifier. So Jamie's got, what we're doing is we're going to also toss a shout out to one of our very good friends. And you guys, if you watch the show, follow the show, got to hear is our friend Chris Shibley with Deluxe Amplification. So we're going to be using his number 9 amplifier. And then my friend Gabe Williams, who is owns the Smoke and Amp Company, he made me a Klon. His version of a Klon. Yeah. And it's unique to a Klon. So, I've had them before, so I know. And so we're basically just running this Strat, the Ash Strat, into the Klon for a little bit of bite through our little 9-watt tube amplifier, just so you guys can really hear the range of these pickups and so on. But it sounds great. Go ahead. Yeah.
That's fun.
Now, if you guys are wondering where the buzzing is coming from, this is a Strat. And so if you guys didn't know that there is this thing called a humbucker. So basically what we have is a very good quality dynamic microphone just going right in front of this thing. But naturally, when you get the magic of perfect studio sound, if you're wondering what that humming is, these guitars actually don't.
Well, if I was oriented.
I know. I mean, it's not any noisier than a really good quality Strat of any type. But I just know that my wife
Single coil pickup.
asked me, she goes, "What's that buzzing coming from?" I'm like, "It's natural."
Guitars.
Strat people understand. You
Yeah.
know? They get it. They get it. They get it.
Yeah, and if you put it in the middle position of position 2 or 4, all the hum and buzz go away.
Oh
Out
yeah.
of phase.
So I mean, it's a wonderful sounding. Now I know we also have as long as you're fired up here and ready to go. Why don't you plug in this 52 right here? Yep. See, we're doing the old school. Just unplug it and go.
Man, this is rip it. And
No hillbilly standby for you.
There's lots of cool stuff in that guitar too.
oh, and the telly.
You know, one thing I noticed about this. Okay, so if you look at the output jack of the Telly, and yes, by the way, you guys, it's an output jack, not an input
Yes.
jack. Okay. If I have to answer that one more time to y'all,
It's got 2 screws in it, right?
well, it's got the electro socket.
Yeah.
So if you guys have ever experienced a Fender guitar that has, man, I can't get this jack to stop spinning around, just get a, Vintage has figured that out. They use a cast output jack collar, let's call it, that the jack threads into, and then it's screwed into the body. It will never get loose on you. It is brilliant. I think all Tellys should just abandon the cup and be done with it and just get the electro socket. But just another added benefit that you're not going to get on a standard Fender model.
You
But
know
yeah,
what
let's
else
listen.
is-
Oh, go ahead.
Before we listen to this, I'd like to cover a couple things on the bridge because this is a big pet peeve.
Oh yeah,
of
absolutely.
Trevor Wilkinson. And let's just geek out for a second. If you want to grab that so your folks can see the bridge. Okay. A lot of folks get into how do you get that 52 spank plank tone, that twang, that Nashville twang. So everybody's always chasing pickup. So it's got to be this pickup in it. I can't get that sound. You know what it is? It's not the pickup. Clue to you guys, it's not the pickup.
Huh.
The pickup is the easy part.
Saddles.
It's the bridge and the saddles.
Yeah.
To get that sound, if that's the sound you're going for, if not, that's a whole different thing. To get that sound, Trev Wilkinson is absolutely adamant that that bridge, the ashtray has to be stamped steel. It absolutely must be magnetic. The screws, the 3 screws that hold the pickup to the backing plate must be magnetic. They have to be steel. They can't be alloy. You can't shave the sides down. You can't put 6 saddles. It has to be 3 brass saddles. That's the secret to the tone. The pickup is the easy part. That's what people don't understand.
Yeah, and this
That guitar nails the 52 sound because the bridge is all stamped steel. The screws are steel. It's a whole tomato soup of magnetic nonsense that goes on. You do a proper backing plate, all steel, nice all Nico 5 magnet, and you'll notice that the pickup has flush pole pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we change the designation from a V52 to a V62 in the blonde one with the rosewood? Well, that's because Leo in 62 changed the 52 pickup to more of a Strat style pickup with the staggered posts.
Oh.
And it was hotter. The R52 has the low output, super bright spank plank tone, and the 62 is going to have a little hotter bridge pickup. The neck pickup didn't change. So if you really want that country twang, or that, what they say, Jimmy Page, who says have a heavy sound, that played that guitar through a little Supro 6L6 tube amp in Led Zeppelin. Okay.
Hey man, those amps are killer. So,
Sorry, but that was the heavy tone. It wasn't a Marshall Stax and a Les Paul.
yes,
Sorry.
you're right. You're right.
That. So that's that bright sound. So when you get that guitar, it's got an alder or a poplar body, depending on the one-piece maple neck. It's got the proper bridge. It will give you that 50s tone all day long. And you can, in other guitars, you can change the pickup. You can say, I got the secret sauce. If you've got an alloy bridge that's not magnetic, or you've got 6 saddles that are not brass, and you'll notice that those have the Wilkinson self-intonating saddles, which is pretty neat.
Yeah,
too.
you got the compensation, and it's set up right
Compensated.
too, where it's like the little E string is still like high enough
You're
off the
getting that
bridge.
tone,
Yeah.
you're getting it in tune, and you're getting it for what people price these things at 3 times the amount. For the
We
same
actually
thing.
kind of did some math. Now, this was a little while ago, but when we first were dealers for vintage, hey, our buddy Trevor, he was a big fan. He had one himself, but we worked it all out, like pricing the bridge, because we sell Wilkinson aftermarket parts too. Pricing the bridge, the tuning machines,
Yeah,
the
so tunes
pickups.
were like $79.
Yeah, we were doing all this stuff, and we're like, wait a minute, this is like getting
brass saddles.
yeah,
Is what,
it's like getting a guitar for free.
150
you know?
bucks.
Just like buying a bunch of
Yeah.
upgrade parts and getting a guitar for free. But no, I mean, we've been really impressed with this product, and of course, it's also cool not to just have what everybody else has. Okay. Additionally, when most people that we've experienced go out and buy, you know, let's just say buy a Fender, you know, standard or Mexican Tele, whatever word you want to use, the first thing they go out and do is upgrade the pickups, change the bridge out on it, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not get one that's already had all that stuff done to it with the best quality parts, you know? And also, a lot of these are models that are not even being offered by Fender that we're all asking for, right?
You notice the neck plate's got some like some patina on it.
Yeah.
I hate that when you get like a relic guitar and a bright, shiny, stinking chrome neck plate. It's like this is silly.
So
They're pre-hot rodded.
yeah, I'll tell you, man, they're just wonderful guitars, and I like how you guys have continued to evolve the line. I like how the headstock has changed just slightly on the Tele versus the Strat, because the earlier model vintages we had was the same headstock.
Yeah.
And now
Correct.
the Strat is more differentiated from the Tele. So
No, this looks right.
oh yeah, it's a beautiful package in general. So, but again, hey, we want to invite you guys to come down to Main Stage, check out the guitars. We just brought a couple with, and of course, Rick showed a couple that he's got, which again we got on order. They're just not here yet.
You got a black Tele, like you got a black Tele that's stinking hot. That was my pick. I like.
Well, you should have told me. I would have brought it down. I just grabbed a couple, but we've got more coming in, and as you guys buy more, then we'll get more, and blah blah blah. But long story short, we are trying to find and trying to keep the store stocked with cool stuff that's going to inspire you guys in your craft and your art of music. So again, Rick, thank you so much for coming out and spending time with us today and giving us a little insight on what makes vintage a special brand and not just another Me Too brand in the in the world of music and guitars and stuff like that. And hey, thank you guys for coming out on a special night, Monday. But we will be back next Tuesday. So again, same bat time, same bat channel, or normal bat time, normal bat channel. And I'd also like to thank my wife for being married to me for 24 years.
Woo, woo, woo.
Today is our 24-year anniversary. And you know what she's doing? She's sitting over there working the production with my son, being awesome. So,
That's
and again,
what commitment is, man.
you know it. No, she's the best. So all of you other wives, sorry, just don't measure up. Sorry, not sorry. But anyways, hey, thank you guys so much for coming out. And actually, let's take it out with Jamie playing a little bit of this 52.